And so we have county commissioners that will get elected, and they are the people that run the county, like social services in the county, the public health department, the people that are keeping us safe and healthy right now, Parks and Rec, the medical examiner, they do property taxes, they run the jail with the sheriff's office, and they also run our elections, and of course the courts, but they do run elections in Mecklenburg County. So the Mecklenburg County Board of Elections is a subsidiary of Mecklenburg County at large. So in the city council, or sorry, county commission, this year we have 3 at-large seats and 6 by district seats. So at-large just simply means that those 3 candidates or those 3 delegates will get elected from the whole county as a whole. Everybody in the county will vote for those 3. And then you have 6 by district seats, meaning that they will run in specific sections, like a piece of the pie of Mecklenburg County, and they get elected from their own district. We will also elect the Register of Deeds. They are the person that you file your deeds with in the county office. They manage all the deeds and property records. The Soil and Water Conservation District and the judges, and the judges. But the soil and water people are like, I have no idea who that person was. It was at the bottom of the ballot. I just picked one. They're actually pretty funny. They're the people that manage the natural resources in the county. So like, as I say there, if you have a creek bank that's collapsing or stormwater damage and stuff, that's who you call. These are the people you're electing for those purposes. And then you have Mecklenburg County judges. This is we're going to get to the judges in a second, but this is the Mecklenburg County Commission. So these are the 3 people that are running at large, and these are the districts that are running. So you have your choice in each and every one of those districts to run. And these are the incumbents that have little eyes by them. So basically they're tasked with approving the annual county budget, enacting any ordinances, approving contracts with the county, and making appointments to public offices. Emily, I see that I think there's a chat question. Can you, do you want to tell me what that is? Or do you want me to keep going?
If you want to keep going, folks can type out their questions and put them in the chat box, and then at the end, I will ask them. That way it's a little bit easier to sort through.
Perfect. Okay. So this is the county commission. So they basically run the county and do the taxes and the budgeting for the county. Super important jobs. In Mecklenburg County, we also have judges. And so we have 1 Superior Court judge. So they hear cases that are over $25,000. And then we have 12 district court judges. And so they hear cases involving the civil, criminal, juvenile, or magistrate matters. So this is the 2 people that are running for the district 26A seat 1. For the Superior Court, it's Casey Visor, who's the incumbent, and Alicia Brooks. The district court judges, I didn't list them all. You can always look these things up on Ballotpedia. It's just a great resource for all the offices and candidates. So moving up to the state level, we have the North Carolina General Assembly. So normally the General Assembly has 100 seats in the House and 40 in the Senate. Who's running depends on where you live. So there's districts for this as well. In Mecklenburg County, the seats in the General Assembly are 88, 92, and then 98 through 107. So there's 12 districts in Mecklenburg County. And these are the folks that go to Raleigh and run the legislature in Raleigh. Currently, there's 12 Democrats that won last time. And so those 12 seats are up for election again. In the Senate districts, we have Senate District 37 through 41 in Mecklenburg County. And currently there's 4 Democrats and 1 Republican. So those are all up for election as well. So you have a number of people in Mecklenburg County running for the North Carolina General Assembly. And the General Assembly passes all the laws that pertain just to North Carolina. So any North Carolina law, they're the ones that pass that. At the state level, you have judicial races as well. You have the North Carolina Court of Appeals. I didn't list all of them because there's a bunch of them. And then you have the North Carolina State Supreme Court, where you have 2 associate justices up for election and 1 chief justice. So you have 3 big seats at the Supreme Court level, and then a bunch of them at the Court of Appeals level. Again, Ballotpedia, you can look all those candidates up. So these are the folks that they hear cases of criminal and civil court, both of them in North Carolina. And then if there's a question of constitutionality pertaining to the North Carolina Constitution, the Supreme Court will hear those cases as well. So above that, you have what's called the Council of State. So the Council of State, the easiest way to think about this is it's like the cabinet for the governor. They function a little bit differently. They're much more independent than the United States cabinet is. But these are the offices that are up for election this year: the treasurer, auditor, etc. So I'm going to go through some of these so that you have a better idea of what each office entails. So at the state level, you have the Attorney General. The Attorney General is the head of the Department of Justice for North Carolina, not the U.S. Department of Justice, the Justice Department in North Carolina. And they are the top law enforcement officers and administrators for the state. They also will provide legal advice and representation to state agencies. So if an agency gets in trouble for doing something, the Attorney General will actually act as their lawyer and help adjudicate the case for them. They also investigate fraud. It's kind of funny. We always think about the Attorney General's office as kind of like a stepping stone to becoming governor, because the Attorney General, they don't do it as much anymore, but they used to go on TV and have these ads about fraud and all kinds of cold calling fraud and bank fraud. And the Attorney General could get on TV and basically spread his profile and get that name recognition. It would help him then jump to becoming governor. The lieutenant governor in North Carolina is he's the president of the state senate, but he's like the vice president of the state. So if something were to happen to the governor, the lieutenant governor takes over. And they kind of are like a liaison between building economic development and doing education policy. So it's a very important job, but it's also very complicated how the lieutenant governor's office works. The treasurer's office, the treasurer is the chief financial officer for the state. He's basically the banker for the state. He runs all the state retirement plans. If you're like me and you're a state employee, you want him to do a really, really good job with your retirement plan. He also provides financial support to local governments. So Montgomery County gets money from the state to do certain things, like, for example, running elections. The state will give Montgomery County and all the counties money, and the treasurer figures out how much that's going to be and make sure that the transfer happens. And they also maintain the state's bond rating, which, if you know anything about bond ratings, it's like your credit score, but for the state. They want to make sure we have a good credit score so that we can get cheaper access to loans and financing. The North Carolina auditor makes sure everybody is honest. She runs the auditor's office, where they basically run and audit every state agency. They have to make sure that everything balances, there's no money missing. They find out where all the money is going and coming from. The Secretary of State, their job is literally kind of like a secretary. They make sure all the permits are signed and gives credentials to businesses. So it does kind of a lot of the paperwork function for the state. But they also work to support economic growth and regulates lobbyists. So if you're a lobbyist or you're running for office, you have to file reports with the Secretary of State's office. And it's basically the Ethics Commission under the Secretary of State. So they make sure that campaigns are run well and without any fraud. The other ones, really quick, are the North Carolina Department, or Superintendent of Public Instruction. Obviously, they do education. They run the whole education structure for the state. The Commissioner of Labor does all kinds of labor enforcement, safety and health inspections, elevators. These are also the people that, if you have a contractor, for example, doing work on your house, they will regulate contractors to make sure they have their license. The North Carolina Commissioner of Insurance, make sure the insurance companies work correctly, deal with consumer complaints and consumer education on insurance. So they make sure the insurance industry is run correctly and honestly. There's a little asterisk there about Mike Causey, just an example. Mike Causey, he's a Republican, and he found out that the former chair of the Republican Party was involved in some campaign finance fraud with an insurance company. They found out through an insurance company. And what's really, I find really interesting about him is that he basically turned in his own party leadership. And they went, a couple of them are going to go to jail for what they did. The Commissioner of Agriculture does food safety, the extension office, soil testing, any kind of stuff for homeowners. If you want to find out if your roses are going to grow well or not, you can send them a soil test, and they are the people that do that. Okay, so that's a super, super quick run through. I didn't go through governor. I figure you all know what the governor is. He's the chief executive. And I figure you also probably know what senators and U.S. congressmen do, and the president, of course. So I figured the state ones are probably the most pertinent for this type of discussion, because most people don't know what all these offices do. So that was really, really quick. So are there questions?
There is one question in the chat, and it says, isn't it true that the treasurer maintains the finances and budgets of the library system?
Actually, I don't know. I'm assuming they probably do, because, but not necessarily though, because like Mecklenburg County's library is the county's offices. So the county would do that. They would run the budgets for the county libraries, but they might get money from the state treasurer to fund the libraries.
And a couple of other ones. Are there term limits on any of the local offices?
Not currently. They can run many, many times.
And what do people have to do if they want to run for a local office? How do they get on the ballot?
So if you want to run for office locally, and it's
right,
good location,
I will communicate with Ben by email, I guess, because Ben's the one.
Sorry.
Okay. That's a really good place to start, because it's local and you can get your feet dirty running for local office. So say you want to run for city council at large or county commission at large, one of these seats right here, or in your district. Well, the first thing you need to do is get involved in your local party. So if you're a Democrat or you're a Republican, start volunteering and getting to know the people in your party. Do some walking and working from other candidates. But basically you go down to the Mecklenburg County Board of Elections, you fill out some paperwork and you pay a fee usually, and boom, you can be on the ballot. That's all it takes. And then you run in your party's primary. So these people have already been through a primary that happened in May. So they run in their primary and they win that primary, and then they can go on to the general election. It's a great opportunity to get involved in politics.
Yes, absolutely. And another question, are political parties listed or not for the judge positions? What does Ballotpedia list for judges to learn how to vote on these positions?
I will show you. Let me pull that up real quick. Hold on one second. Okay, so this is Ballotpedia, and you can do Mecklenburg County, North Carolina judicial elections, and it will tell you Oh, maybe not. Counties. So this is the list of state officials, current cities, local courts. So we can go to North Carolina District Court 26, and these are the elections. Wow. My computer is not really cooperating with me here. You can look them up. Elections. Okay, here's the Board of County Commissioners. Elections, county. I don't know why it's not letting me go to the judicial elections. Usually it lists it. There we go. So here you can see for North Carolina Superior Court, Casey Visor is incumbent. He's a Republican. Alicia Brooks is Democrat. Alicia Brooks is automatically taken to the general election. These are the other primary ones. So these are the other seats for the other judicial elections in Montgomery County. So this does list them by party at the end of their election. So you can go in and look and see which one is Republican and which one's Democrat. So depending on how you want to vote. Most parties also share like they'll have a voter guide. And so you can go to like the Mecklenburg County Republican Party or the Mecklenburg County Democratic Party, and you can get a voter guide. And it will list for you, whatever your party is, who they want you to vote for. So they're obviously going to list the Democratic and the Republican judges for you. That was a great.
Yeah, I think that's a great opportunity for people to also, you know, reach out to their local board of elections or to their local party, and that's a way to get involved. And I know that a lot of students have asked ways for them to become involved during the pandemic. And so what are a couple of ways that maybe they could get involved with local politics, since we are all at home and maybe in a different district than we normally are?
Well, it's kind of funny that, I mean, Zoom and WebEx and everything have made elections actually a lot more accessible to a lot of new people. So candidates still have to run. They're still doing door knocking and so forth in Mecklenburg County and everywhere else. So there's still people going around and putting out flyers and knocking on doors and so forth. But candidates are also doing a lot of calling. And this isn't like the old days where you had everybody sat around a table and had a phone. You had to dial the number and talk to a candidate, to a voter. What happens now is it's all computerized, and it'll just pop up a number on your screen. It dials it for you. The person answers, and you just read through a script. It's super easy. So candidates are always looking for people to do that. The Mecklenburg County Board of Elections is also looking for people to staff a lot of their polling locations, because a lot of elderly people are not wanting to work the polls during this time. So they're looking for people to do that kind of stuff as well. And I know that both parties are also looking for people to go through all those absentee ballots. You have to scan them and read them and compare the signatures and so forth. And so they need, for every single ballot, they have to have a Republican and a Democratic person there to look at that ballot. And they have to agree that, yes, that signature on the absentee ballot matches the signature they have on file. So they're looking for people to do a variety of things. There's always opportunities to get involved in elections if you want to.
And is this one of the sample ballots that people can access?
So you can preview your ballot by your name, or by your address. You click here, or you can click on your voter information. You can check your voter registration. You can put your information in there. I'm hoping it's not going to load mine. You can put your information in there. It'll tell you whether or not you have, how you voted in the past, what's going to happen. So you just fill in this little form with your information. It'll tell you how to, it'll give you your very own sample ballot. So a lot of the sample ballots that are available publicly have all the races on them, like every single district. So it can get kind of confusing, but you can actually look up your voter registration and print out your personal sample ballot. You can print it out and take it with you to the polls if you want to. You can also, if you're not registered to vote, you can go ahead and download the voter registration form, and you can also update your voter registration electronically now.
Yes, and it is National Voter Registration Day, so today is the perfect day.
Go for it, yeah, if you're not registered. The other thing you can do is the State Board of Elections is doing something called ballot tracks. So if you requested an absentee ballot, you filled out the form, send it in, you can track where your ballot is. So once you get it, fill it out, vote, sign it correctly, and send it back, it'll track where your vote is for you, which is cool.
Yes, I'm really glad that they put that together.
It's like tracking your pizza.
Absolutely, yeah. So for people who are looking to maybe do the verification process for the absentee ballots, are there different specifications other than, there needs to be one Democrat, one Republican? Are there other specifications that people need to know about if they want to apply to be in this position?
All I know about that is, because I got an email asking me if I wanted to do it, is that you have to work. You have to work like 8 to 5 so many days. It's not like you can just come in and work for an hour or work for a couple hours here and there. It's like a job. It is paid, but you have to work the time. So that's the major requirement. I'm sure you have to be, it's likely a registered voter in Mecklenburg County or your home county.
That is good to know. And as we are getting closer to the end here, I was actually talking with a student this morning who wanted to learn more about local offices. And she was asking, what are the best ways to do that? Because oftentimes it's sort of hard to track someone's history and politics at the local level, especially if they're just getting into it. So what are a couple of ways which you would encourage students, or anybody for that matter, to seek out information both on the office, but then also on the candidate who is running?
So on the office, you can go in Charlotte, in Mecklenburg County, you can go to charmec.gov. They have a list of all the offices and what they do. I mean, they basically will tell you. You have to dig around a little bit. There's not like a cheat sheet out there. So you're going to have to dig around a little bit. As far as the candidate, each candidate is likely going to be registered with either the Democratic or Republican Party. And they will each party will have information on their candidates. So you can go and usually click on a link to each candidate. So if I go back to this my PowerPoint here. I hate trying to share things and getting it to work. Oh, there it is. Okay. So if you were to go back, like I got these names from Ballotpedia to make sure I had the right ones. And some of them will have links under their names. And those links mean they filled out like a survey for Ballotpedia. Hold on. Can you see what I'm sharing on the slideshow?
On Ring Central, you have to stop sharing and share again if you're switching back and forth between a presentation and a web browser.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yes.
So these are the people running for county commission. So say, for example, Jim Puckett, we'll just take him. Ballotpedia would send him a survey, and then he would send it back. And Ballotpedia has like a little link if they completed that survey. And basically it asks them a whole bunch of questions on different policies and what they stand for, what they want their campaign to be known for, all that sort of stuff. So you can go and look at Ballotpedia, and there's other websites that do this as well, where you can look up and find out what the candidates believe in, what policies they are or are not going to support. And then always you can just Google the candidate, and usually they have their own campaign websites, and you can find out more about them. It does require a bit of work. Ballotpedia is doing a better job of kind of gathering all that information together, but the candidates' websites are always a great way.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much. In the interest of keeping our sessions to 30 minutes, we want to thank you all for joining us, and a special thank you to Dr. Shepherd for sharing your insights and knowledge with us. Join us next week, where we will dive into the world of foreign policy and the elections with Dr. Alexa Royden from the Queen's Political Science Department. We hope to see you all next Tuesday and for the continuation of this Lunch and Learn series. And if you have any more questions, feel free to email Jen Martz or myself, and she will put our emails in the chat and we can field those questions for you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shepherd.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.